Don't forget to like and share this broadcast with your friends and family on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. Let all of your friends and family know to subscribe so that you know when the Center of Hope is going live.
Welcome to Real Talk. If it's Monday night and it's 9 p.m., it's time for Real Talk. I'm your co-host tonight, Bishop Mitchell G. Taylor, and I'm so glad that all the Real Talkers have chimed in on this evening. As you're coming in, don't forget to tell other people that we're on the air. Let them know in the way that you contact them through your comments, and use the comment section to amplify your participation tonight. Use your hearts, use your likes to express your expressions on this evening. Let us know where you're coming from. If you're in Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Boston, let us know where you're coming in from so that we can acknowledge you on tonight. Listen, we're going to get started. We have a lot to talk about, a little bit of time to talk about it in. And so let me welcome my co-host on tonight, the Honorable Bishop Liston Page II.
Good evening, Bishop Taylor.
Good evening, Bishop Page. How's things going?
It's going good. I can't complain. The Lord is good to me.
Well, excellent. Someone called me today and said, "How you doing?" I said, "Listen, if it got any better, I couldn't stand it." I said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Listen, he woke me up this morning, started me on my way, put food on my table, put joy in my way." And what you say that tongue in cheek, but the reality is, man, you can't buy peace, you can't buy health, you can't buy family, you can't buy a home. You can buy a house, but you can't buy a home. I mean, sometimes we use those words, but when I talk about a home, it's not the physical frame of the home itself, but the contents within it. And so, so I mean, it's been an amazing day today, filled with a lot of wonder. But listen, we want to welcome the Real Talkers on tonight. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on live, Bishop. There's been a couple of weeks since we've been on live. We've been crisscrossing countries and cities and states. I feel like you now, in and out of the city and in and out of the country, like most of us in cabs.
That's true.
And trains.
Yeah. I've missed the Real Talkers, though. I've missed the Real Talkers. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, no, we're glad to have you. So, I mean, tonight, I don't want to waste any time tonight. Certainly want to ask God's blessings over our conversation on this evening in Jesus' name. So, Bishop, there's a lot that we covered. We kind of want to hit the reset button and kind of just recap and really realign ourselves, especially from the rich and vast intergenerational conversations that we've had with our guest, Elder Brown, and Elder Kayshawn, Overseer Kayshawn Joseph, and Elder Christina Barr, who really enhanced our conversation as we were trying to find some shared language and some bridges, so that a lot of what we may have experienced and even have observed over our lifetime, how that generational gap continued to broaden, and instead of things getting better, communication wise, things really began to get progressively worse. And so I think that, having that conversation and having those young people in was very beneficial to me. And I'm sure to the Real Talkers on tonight and those that, joined us for those conversations. And we're not done, in no way, shape, or form are we done. But we wanted to just kind of think about what we've learned, Bishop, over that period of time. And after a plethora of discussions with people that are, in some cases, more than half our age, less than half our age, half our age. And I wanted to start talking about, how we can incorporate what we've learned and how we can accommodate, some of the things that we've heard from our younger brothers and sisters, and how do we continue to embrace the next generation, and how can we do a better job, if there was not, how can we do a better job than our forefathers have done, or those that came before us in, bridging that and embracing that next. And then, of course, what can we recommend to the Real Talkers about embracing next, and what tips can we give? I mean, I'm sure that there's so much that we've learned, and so much that we've taken in over the last, 6 or 8 weeks as we, brave that conversation. There's so much to kind of throw out there.
Well, I think for me, the Proverbs 14:34 passage kind of resonates with me more than ever, that there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof is death. That really resonates with me. I think that in the society that we live in, we're hearing all different types of concepts and ideologies and steps to know God better, to know different gods, to embrace different ways to know God. And I think for me, there is a way that seemeth right, but the end thereof is death. And I think I'm learning my orthodoxy, or my orthodox thinking, is really not as off as the more secular humanists want me to think it is. I think that foundation that we practice our faith out of is extremely important. And I keep hearing Paul say, if an angel in heaven comes out of heaven preaches another gospel, teaches something different than that which we have presented to you, let it be an anathema. So I think as much as we have digested through reading and through conversation and dialogue these new ideologies and new ways and new concepts, I still think it's something to holding on to our orthodox practices in many ways. I think that keeps me personally, it keeps me in a safe space.
Well, I mean, and I'm glad you brought that up, because even when you think about some of the reasons why a lot of our colleagues didn't matriculate, didn't go to seminary and what have you, a lot of that was discouraged because of the fear of what may be taught, what may be learned, what may shape that orthodoxy that you talk about, what may impact it, what may reshape it, what may cause a rethinking. And it's interesting because, you know, the Bible is the Bible. You can't change what it is. And, you know, if it's interpreted, you know, in its correct context, it will continue to speak, you know, the same way. Unfortunately, I think that Solomon said in his writing that much learning has made him mad, right? Was that Solomon who said that, or Paul who said that? But I think that, you know, there's, you know, you have to be able to go to school, you know, eat the meat, spit out the bones, be able to embrace that which enhances your faith practice. And, you know, because there's so many different schools of thought, you know, that that are interwoven into those schools of higher learning.
Can I read that text of scripture you just referenced?
Yes.
It's in Acts chapter number 26.
Right.
I think that's the one that you're referencing, Acts chapter number 26. And I think we can start let's give it some context. Let's start at verse number 20. That's a lot of reading, but no, that's just a lot of reading. The whole gist is that Paul is standing before King Agrippa. That's the gist. And let's go down to verse number 23 of 24. Having therefore obtained help of God, I continue unto this day, witnessing both to the small and the great, saying none other things than those which the prophets and Moses did say should come, that Christ should suffer, and that he should be first, and that should rise from the dead, and should shew light unto the people and to the Gentiles. And as he thus spake for himself, Festus with a loud voice said, Paul, thou art beside thyself. Much learning doeth make thee mad. So that is Paul standing up, defending his faith before Festus and King Agrippa. And they say to him, much learning have made thee mad. And I think, but it goes back to what I stated earlier. You know, people will think we are archaic and out of step with modern contemporary society when we hold on to some of our orthodox beliefs or our classical training, which I do believe that there's a space for new methodologies and new methods and new pedagogies. I believe that, but that foundation that we stand on, the foundation of God stands assured, having this seal. The Lord knows them that are his. So I think there is something to be said about having a conviction about what are the foundational tenets of our faith, and those things not being removed or being tampered with.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And you know, to that point, Bishop, you know, I was talking about Christmas, and Christmas being, you know, one of the most important holidays on the Christian calendar. And I began to explain why I personally feel that way, you know, and not dealing with the fact that, you know, when was Christ actually born? I'm not talking about that, you know, whether it was summer, winter, spring, or fall. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the celebrated day, the day that we have selected to celebrate the birth of Christ, right? And it's because of the birth, his death, and his resurrection that gives us the foundation of our faith. And so on Christmas Day, you know, we put up trees, we put up lights, we put up, you know, we put up garland, and we do all this kind of stuff. And we do this, and a lot of times people, and I've been one of those persons that have criticized, oh, you're putting up a tree. Didn't you know that the tree represents this and the tree represents that, and the lights represent this? And I brought out the point. Let's strip away all of that right now. The tree is being erected, right, in my faith practice to enhance, to embellish, to highlight someone's birthday, the birthday of Christ. So I'm not worshiping the tree. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the tree is worshiping my God. and when I say that in context, my point is that the practice of erecting a tree as a faith practice and a religion and whatnot, and I'm sure that we can get into that in a minute, but the reason why we do it is to enhance the celebration of the day. And so for us on Christmas Day, and you've been a part of this for the last 30 years, I don't know where the time has gone, we have a birthday celebration for Christ on his birthday. It means something to us. And I talked about, the cost of a tree. A tree today is a very expensive commodity. You could pay $300, $400, $500 to purchase a tree. And don't even talk about the gifts that you put under the tree. And again, the gifts is following a practice. When Christ was born, people came from everywhere, laid gifts at the feet, at the manger when Christ was born. And so following in that custom, we bring our gifts on his birthday. It's a meaningful time. When you celebrate someone's birthday, it's because you recognize how important that person being born is into the world. How much more, who is more important than the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ? And so on Christmas morning, I'm sorry, go ahead, Bishop. You was going to say something?
No, what I was thinking is that, unfortunately, Pentecostals do not celebrate this season the way other mainstream denominations may, like the Roman Catholic Church or the Eastern Orthodox Church or the Anglican Church, Presbyterian Church, the Lutheran Church, the AME Church. The Pentecostal Church seemingly does not put a lot of inference on this season called Advent. And Advent simply means the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. We're celebrating the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. And it is really one of the first holidays on the Christian liturgical calendar. We are supposed to be celebrating the coming of the Lord. Now, you've already put a disclaimer out. December 25th may not be the day. It may be the day. It may be May 25th. Who cares? We just have carved this time out to celebrate the coming, the anticipation of God incarnate in flesh, Jesus Christ, God's gift of salvation to the world. And you mean to tell me I cannot on that day stop what I'm doing and celebrate the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords when this is the Advent season? This is what it's all about, the coming of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And Advent, the season, ends normally on Christmas Eve. That's when it ends. But we celebrate in anticipation. Jesus is coming. And watch this. There's another Advent coming too. When the rapture of the church takes place. There's another Advent coming when he's after that 1,000-year honeymoon period, he comes back. So Advent for us as believers, it's not just existential. It's not just something historical, but it's also something eschatological, something we look forward to in the future. And you must be applauded. I must say that. You have to be applauded, because I don't think there are many ministries, and if they are, they just started the practice. But when we were coming to your church on Christmas morning, your church was the only real church that I knew of, Pentecostal, that was open. I didn't even have my church open because I was always at your church on Christmas morning. So you should be applauded for having your ministry aware of how important it is. Celebrate the coming of Christ, and then let's give gifts to each other that represent God giving us the greatest gift, which was Jesus Christ.
Exactly. And all of those practices are in celebration of the Advent. And I'm glad you brought that up, because there is also a time when he came, making his triumphal entry into Jerusalem and coming on a lowly ass, and they covered the ass with a covering, a seat covering of sorts, whatever it may have been, and he sat on that ass. And then when he got into the city, the people cut down branches from the trees, happened to be palm trees, laid them in the ground, okay, took clothes off their back, laid them in the ground, so that when he marched, not only was he the God of humanity, but he was the God of heaven and earth, but I mean, everything is the trees, matter of fact, there was so much praise going forth until those that were trying to keep orders told the disciples, listen, you got to calm the priests and the chief priests, and you got to calm these folks down. They said, listen, if these folk don't praise me, rocks will cry out. So, I mean, it's not, unfathomable to think that on the day that we designate to celebrate the birthday of Christ, that everything stands in celebration. And it's interesting. I'd love to get your feedback on how is it that Christmas garners the attention of Jews, Muslims, and other faith practices around the globe. And although they may not be Christians, they are buying Christmas gifts, and in some cases putting up Christmas trees. And, because that's how powerful Christ is, that he commands the attention. He stops the world every December on the 25th because it's his birthday.
I was thinking while you were talking about the tree, though, and I think you brought that up at a good time, because there was a season in both of our lives that we would never have a Christmas tree in our home, in our sanctuaries, because we were taught by our fathers, our forefathers, that was part of the doctrinal belief that Christmas trees were of the devil. And it was not until we got older where we realized that a tree is not of the devil. It has been misinterpreted, So I think our viewers tonight should understand our context. They taught us from Jeremiah chapter number 10 that we are not supposed to put lights and awnings and all that kind of stuff on trees, because it was a pagan practice. And Israel was not supposed to practice that level of paganism. And I think, we don't talk about it, but a lot of people may have that same concept and thought now, and they come from Jeremiah chapter number 10. Should I read some of it, man? Should I read some of it?
Yeah, you should, because one of the things we talked about is pagan holidays. It's appropriate. Let's talk about it because people want to know about it.
Let's say Jeremiah chapter 10. And I'll start reading at verse 1. It says, "Hear you the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen." Right there. Heathen, unbeliever. "And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed by them." Now, if I want to couple that, we can always couple that with Leviticus chapter number 18, verse number 3. I won't turn to that, but I'll keep reading from Jeremiah. It says, "For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good. Forasmuch as there is none like unto thee, O Lord. Thou art great in thy name, great in might." So this is where we get this whole concept that we should not have Christmas trees, because they saw it as a heathen practice. And God says the heathen, they deck it with silver. They dress it up. They nail it that it doesn't fall down. They have to move it because it can't move itself. We got to stand it up because it can't stand up on its own. He's talking about Israel not adopting the practices of the heathen. And this is Jeremiah talking to Israel. Now, we've taken this and we brought this all the way over into the Newer Testament, and we apply this to Christmas trees, because what do? We decorate them. We put ornaments on them, mistletoes, and everything's on them. And so our forefathers, particularly Pentecostals, saw this as a pagan practice, so we stayed away from it. But we have evolved in our theology and in our understanding, and we know it's a tree that we just decorate that represents for us Christmas, and putting gifts under the tree. We don't worship the tree. We don't bow down to the tree. We don't talk to the tree. It's just decoration for us. It's like anything else. It's just decoration for us. But our forefathers taught that this was a pagan practice and to stay away from it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So we can establish now we've been free. We are free. We are free.
As free as we are, I know you're probably more free than I am. I don't think about it during this time of the year because it's never been a practice of my family. Growing up, we never had a Christmas tree. We didn't get a Christmas tree until my parents got a house. Then when they got a house, they got a tree in every room in the house. They got 2 or 3 Christmas trees. So I didn't grow up with that culture, that context. I grew up in that context that it was wrong to do. But then as my father read the scriptures more and got a better understanding, he freed us and said, ain't nothing wrong with the tree. There's nothing wrong with having a Christmas tree in your house. But I think we still haven't evolved yet to having one in the sanctuary. You know, the first time I ever saw a tree in the sanctuary when I came to your church. And I said, man, this is a beautiful Christmas tree. I never even thought about that until, you know, you get exposed and you start seeing things from a different lens. So for us, you know, Christmas trees were not something we always had in our home. So I don't think about it now, personally.
Right. So I, you know, again, I broke it down to, you know, my church on Sunday. Everything that we're doing on Christmas Day, every light, every wreath, every garland, every decorative accent that you see is all to glorify God.
That's right.
And the birth of his son, Jesus Christ. I can't buy enough I can't buy enough lights. I wish I could spray the church with I wish I could spray it with a Christmas decoration gun. And it just my point is, because I want people to know, well, what is that about? That's Christmas. What's that? That's the birthday of Christ. What a wonderful way, organic way to witness what we believe, you know? And so that's why December 25th is a very important day for us at the Center of Hope. All roads lead to 12-11 40th Avenue. And at 10 a.m., this is the first time in 3 years that we've been back in person. But we're back. And no matter what happens, we're back. And we'll be in the sanctuary December 25th at 10 a.m. We normally do it at 11, but this year, first time back, we're doing it at 10, doing something different. There's nothing wrong with doing something different, okay? And so we're doing something different this year, starting at 10. And every child that comes in the spirit of celebration, they're going to get a Christmas toy, a gift, you know, on that day. And so it's going to be a day of celebration, celebrating the birth of Christ. You know, we're bringing a gift. You know, my gift is $1,000 on that day. Okay. Listen, the tree is $300. The ornaments are $200. The gifts underneath the tree, you know, one game station could tip the scales for your whole shopping network. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I'm not going to let that outweigh what I give. I'm going to give a respectable gift. If you go to a wedding, you know, you think about the person that you're going to bless, the wedding that you're going to, and you're thinking about, and people always have this question: what do I give someone that has everything? More of what they already have. I mean, so, you know, if it means if the seed means something to you, if your Christmas seed means something to you, 9 times out of 10, it'll mean something to God. And that's the seed that we give on Christmas morning. Okay. The meaning seed, what it means to you. Some people give 1,000. Some people give, one year I had someone give 2,000. Some people give 500, 300, 100, you know, but that's the day. Prove me now herewith. Demonstrate your connection and your affiliation, your association. Who are you to me? You know, and I think that, you know, our resources, our money, you know, when we give it, it demonstrates where our heart is.
It's going to be wonderful.
So December 25th.
It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a tremendous service, a tremendous outpouring of the power of God. Every Christmas I've been there. And not just because I'm the preacher, but the worship is tremendous. The fellowship, seeing everybody smiling and joyful, healthy. And we've got a lot. Let me tell you something. We've got a lot to be thankful for this year. We really have a lot to be grateful to God for this year. Just imagine how our lives have been turned upside down for the past 3 years, and to come back better and bigger and stronger and greater and more mature and more thankful. I mean, we have so much to be grateful for. Thank God just for the gift of life this year. Because there's people that have gone on to be with the Lord. I mean, we are still here. So that gives me reason to pause and to be that much more grateful this year.
Wow. So we covered pagan holidays, you know. Oh, let me cover one more. And this is not maybe under the guise of pagan holidays, but just clearing it up. We're having service New Year's Eve.
So are we.
11 a.m. in the morning. And then we're going to open up our doors for a second service at 9 p.m. And we shall start our prayer, and we'll go from 9 to 9:30 or so, and then we'll start our service. And this is not a watch night service. We're not watching for nothing. It's not a watch night service. Okay? Well, why am I here? Okay. Why am I here? Because as a believer, I want to spend the last moments of the old year with my God. And I want to spend the first moments of the new year with my God. Now, why does that mean something? Well, because another year is a nexus. Another year is a passage. It's another lease. It's a new beginning. It's a new era. It's a new period of time that begins for us. And the same reason why the bars, the clubs, the dance floors will be populated to over capacity. There'll be standing room only. Hotels will be sold out. Airline tickets will be elevated on that day because people want to get somewhere where they can celebrate. So, as a believer in our faith context, our celebration is going to happen where? And don't tell me about, oh, it's not safe anymore. It ain't safe but it's safe to go to the club. It's safe to go to a bar. It's safe to do this. It's safe to, no. My point is, in our faith context, we are spending it the last day and the first day in the presence of the Lord. I think that's honorable for us as believers. And that's what we'll be doing on New Year's Eve.
Well, we know that there different concepts and ideas on the origin of Watch Night. You know, the slaves waiting for the Emancipation Proclamation. We got that. But then, you have John Wesley, who used Watch Night service as a time to recommit your covenant to God. You're recommitting yourself to God for another year. You're thanking God for keeping you that year. And now, God, I'm recommitting myself for another year. And I think if the world, the secular world, as we know it, drops balls and blows whistles and put on hats to bring in the new year and to recommit themselves to having a productive year, why can't we as believers recommit ourselves to be more focused, more committed, and more dedicated in our worship and in our faith practice to God for another year? I don't see nothing wrong with that. And I think we should do that. That's right.
And, I've been teaching for the last couple of years, that we don't want any more sentimental illusions. We got to see time and life for the reality of what it is. And procrastination is the theft of time, the thief of time. And so what we do, that's what the Bible says we must do quickly. Now, going back to before we go to, we had end times on our list. We had chips, paying with chips that are inserted underneath your skin. I don't know if we're going to get to that. The upcoming election, I don't know if we're going to get to that. World War III, I don't know if we're going to get to that. Artificial intelligence, I don't know if we're going to get to that. But I do want to just say this. In Proverbs chapter 12, when we were talking about learning, and it starts with, remember now you're created in the days of your youth before the difficult days come, blah, blah, blah. But then in verse number 8, Solomon says, vanity of vanities, says the preacher, all is vanity. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yes, he pondered and sought out and set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find acceptable words, and what was written was upright, words of truth. The words of the wise are like gold, and the words of scholars are like well-driven nails given by one shepherd. And further, my son, be admonished by these of making many books. There is no end, and much study is wearisome to the flesh. And then in verse 13, he says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, keep his commandments, for this is man's all, for God will bring every work into judgment. So I think my point was, making many books, there'll be no end. There's going to be books that are going to be written. Everyone's going to have an opinion. You know what I mean? There's enough of them to go around.
Man, Mitch, we don't talk much about as it relates to Solomon. If we read I think it's 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 32. It's somewhere in there, but it talks about how he wrote 3,000 proverbs and 1,005 songs. I mean, now, of course, we don't have any of that collection in the Holy Writ. Even if we just look at the 31 chapters of Proverbs, I mean, take 31 away from 3,000. I'm just really trying to support your point. I mean, books and songs and proverb, and we feel as though the 31 that we do have, and I can't say 31, let's say 30, because the 31st Psalm was written by his mother, King Lemuel's mother. So the 30 Psalms, Proverbs rather, in the book of Proverbs, they don't scratch the surface. If 1 Kings 4 and 32 says Solomon had 3,000 proverbs and 1,005 songs. Man, I mean, think about how much wisdom this man possessed, that we have just an index, a footnote of his knowledge, just a footnote of his knowledge. And think about how highly distracted he probably was, because he had 700 wives, 300 concubines. I mean, we start thinking about the stuff that Solomon was involved in, and that's why he could say with conviction, vanity of vanities, I done had it all. There's nothing I have not had. That's why he says time and chance happens to us all. I mean, you're talking about a man that talks about his youth, then talks about his maturity, then he talks about the ends of his life. I found out the only thing that matters in life is my reverence for God, my duty to man. Everything else, it don't matter. So you're right. You know, no matter how much knowledge we accumulate, really at the end of the day, what's most important? Loving God, loving our family, loving people the way we love ourselves, and entertaining strangers the right way, because some have entertained angels unaware. If we do those things I just said, we're going to have a productive life. Just those things.
Right. And just because, and we don't entertain strangers because of a fear of them being angels. It's just an addendum of thought. But the reality is, what you just said was that should be our practice of life, to treat everybody right, not because, oh, they may be somebody important.
That's right.
That's not why we do it, you know? So, Bishop, the end times, what is your comment on the end times right now? What are you seeing?
Man, I think we need to start really reading Matthew 24. I mean, people really need to start reading Matthew 24, wars, rumors of war. I mean, we see eschatology right in front of us. So I would certainly encourage people to just read Matthew 24. I would say read Revelations. But when you start talking about the book of Revelations, it carries with it this taboo that it is so ambiguous and so mystical, and it's so frightening. All of the symbols and the types and the language. We're living, and our parents said it. My grandparents said it. We're living in the last days. We're really starting to see, in my humble opinion, the last days. And this was deep. If God does not shorten the time, that's scripture too, no flesh will be saved. I mean, think about what's going on in society. We live in a
Say it again. Say it again, Liz. Say it again.
He said, unless he shortens the days, no flesh will be saved. I mean, think about it. Dr. K. is in our live, but he put something up that was true. He said, he increases knowledge, increases sorrow. That's what Solomon said. And that's one of the reasons why, unless the Lord shortens the day, no flesh is going to be saved, because men are doing what is right in their own eyes. They're getting wickeder and wickeder and evil and more evil. I mean, think about it. Think about our society. They're calling wrong right, right wrong. I mean, that's the day we're in.
That's the day we're in. So, Bishop, what about the chips? Paying with the chips. Let me.
Man, I haven't. I really haven't read about that. To have any.
Yeah, there's if you go to an article written on April 10th in 2022, as we were doing this research, microchip implants that lets you pay with your hand. Pay with your hand. And so if you just type in the microchip implants that let you pay with your hand, back in 2022, this technology was available. And in 2022, 500 people had this chip inserted underneath their skin, and they're able to pay and transact business with the chip reader in their hands. And so they're predicting that, you know, over time that this will continue to grow. You know, I guess they're calling it a convenience for travel and vacationing and swimming and all this kind of stuff and whatnot. What are your thoughts on that, Bishop?
I think it's an easier way for us to be monitored. honestly, by the government. That's my feeling. You know, they know where we are at all times. You know, you know, this little device here, they know where we are at all times. We
Somebody said, "I'm good, thank you." No, thank you. We're gonna get that to Michelle. We're gonna give her one of those hand chips. That's right. We're gonna track you down.
So we know where she be at all times. There was
That's right.
from Chicago said that there's a Whole Foods store in Chicago that allows you to pay with your hand and your finger. That's now in Chicago. Wow.
Wow. Wow. I don't know if you want to talk. I don't want to talk about the upcoming election. I don't know why they. I don't know why. Listen, we have writers for this show. I don't know why they put that on there. I don't want to talk about that. Why I want to talk about the upcoming election? I don't want to talk about that. We're gonna get in trouble. I don't want to talk about that.
No, but you know what we should consider though. Just think about the Republican candidate. I mean, it just kind of shows you where we are in our country. It goes back to my point. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil. Bottom line, we live in what is called moral subjective society. It's called moral subjectivism. That's kind of where we live at. It's a floating ethic. It's a situational ethic. It's a transactional ethic. It's a convenient ethic. And we see it based on our choices.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Whew, okay. We got past that. Let's talk about World War III. What do we? I mean, are we in World War III? Is the Hamas Israel war World War III? No, right?
I wouldn't think so.
No, that's not a world war.
No, I don't think so. That's in that particular region. Right. But it should give us cause to pause though and look at it from a theological lens. And I guess from a theological lens, it does impact the world as we know it. If we see the trouble over in Middle East being the breeding ground for the rapture and the Antichrist and all of those things. So that does affect the world to a great degree.
Right. That's true. That's true. And also with Ukraine being at war with Russia, you know, that's the breadbasket of the world. Mm-hmm. We've seen wheat and everything that comes from that part of the world has increased exponentially. One more thing, last thing, artificial intelligence, Bishop.
AI. Yeah, I think it's something that AI, I think it's something that we ought to be very aware of. It's a big thing now. It probably would be good to get Bishop Ralph Dennis's son on with us because he did a great teaching. You were there in Baltimore on AI at the conference. So that would be interesting to probably get him on, his dad on, to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and how it is starting to dominate and rule in our society. You know, you know, you can just, this is AI here. You know, it's something that we're going to have to really start looking at more closely.
I thought AI was an enemy for Israel that I read in the Old Testament.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's a joke. But yes, but you're right. I mean, so, you know, artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's going to enhance the way we manufacture, the way we do business, the way we assess, evaluate. You know, it's a very powerful tool when used properly, and a very destructive tool if used improperly, as we see with the production of, you know, ghost guns and things of that nature. You know, all of this is, you know, interconnected with artificial intelligence and so on and so forth, and the power of that, you know. And so, yeah, so I mean, there's good and bad in then the other thing is too, you know, with artificial intelligence now, you can recreate, you know, images and personalities, and you can
almost recreate people.
Well, you can.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing now. That's what the actors were talking about. You know, one of the things that kept them out on strike as long as it did was not just the contract negotiations, but AI.
Yep.
You know, the fact that, you know, you know, AI can write a movie in 5 minutes when writers, you know, it takes writers 5 months, maybe. I don't know what the exact time is, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely telling. Well, listen, Bishop, it's that time. It's that time. And I see the red light flashing. So I guess that's the time when they tell us it's that time to say goodbye to all our family. All the real talkers on tonight. Listen, we thank you guys. We don't take it for granted at all that we are able to have this dialogue and this discussion with you on Monday nights. Thank you very much. Listen, the ways to give are on the screen. Those of you that are with us on tonight, take time to take note of the ways to share your gifts. Cash App, $ the Kohi Nation, PayPal or Zelle, kohigives@gmail.com. I would to God that 40 of you will come together and say, let's bless this ministry on tonight, and sow a seed of $23 on tonight. $23 on tonight. All right. In my closing remarks on tonight, and Bishop will have his closing remarks as well, I want to remind you that on Wednesday night, thank you, Alicia, on Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. is our Wednesday morning word. I want you to join us on Zoom. There's the address. And then 12 noon on Wednesday afternoon will be in person at the church for our Wednesday midweek word. Wednesday, word on Wednesday, whatever you want to call it, 12 noon. We're building that service every Wednesday, and pretty soon I believe that it'll be standing room only. Pastor Hassan Clark is in charge of that service on Wednesdays. And then Bishop has School of the Bible Wednesday night at 7 p.m. School of the Bible. Do you have a special guest on this week, Bishop?
No. It's just going to be me and three of my elders. Yes, my team, and they have been doing an outstanding job. So
they have.
You know, I want everyone that can just log on and be with us Wednesday at 7:00.
Yeah, they're doing a wonderful job. And then Friday night encounter. In fact, last Friday I had a guest. I had Bishop Clifford Frazier on with me on last Friday, and we were talking about the vocabulary of salvation. So we're probably going to continue that discussion, I think, this Friday again. So oh wow, okay,
it's going to be good, and I think his daughter is going to be on with us as well.
Awesome. That's going to be great this Friday night. And then we'll see everybody on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. online, 10 a.m. online, and then 11 a.m. for the Center of Hope, 12 noon for the Highway Nation. Okay. And then 3 p.m. Thank you for that reminder. 3 p.m. We have our cantata. Our young people and our theatrical ministry will be combining to put together a musical presentation, a theatrical presentation that will highlight the birth of Christ. So we invite everyone to come out on Sunday. And then, of course, December 25th, His Grace will be with us for our Christmas celebration Monday at 10 a.m. sharp. All right, Bishop Page, you want to have the final remarks?
Listen, it's going to be great on Christmas morning. Meet us on the platform all week long. And I want to thank Bishop Taylor for just making sure that we keep this platform alive and vibrant. And he's done a tremendous job. And I want us to remember his birthday. Mitch, when's your birthday? In January? January 5th, right?
7th.
January
7th.
7th.
No.
January 7th.
January 7th. Barbara's is January 5th.
That's right. And we have a service of Barbara too, right? Is that
That's right. January 5th. Friday, January 5th.
Yeah.
Friday, January 5th. Special service for her. Momentous birthday milestone for her. And so we certainly want to celebrate her on that Friday, January the 5th.
And then you're on that Sunday.
Yeah, they're not going to celebrate me. They're going to throw darts at my picture and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm changing the prayer convocation this year, and I know folks are going to go into a little bit of shock, but I think it's going to be good this year. We're doing 14 days.
Wow!
And I want to start on January 2nd. And we're going to do the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. We're going to actually start the fasting and the consecration. And I'm going to start the morning services at 6 a.m. starting January 2nd. And then by the time we get to the second week, I'm going to go into our night services, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we're going to close. We're going to have our convocation, our ordination service on that Sunday, the 14th. Then we're going to close the convocation on that Monday morning at 6 a.m. And we have as our guest speaker, Bishop Darius Nixon. So this is the first time everyone's hearing this adjusted schedule. And so get ready. And it's going to be a tremendous time. Prayer Convocation 2024.
Man,
that's it.
But your prayer convocation is always powerful. I mean, now are you doing? It's going to be virtual in the mornings. Or are we coming back to the building?
No, it's going to be virtual in the mornings.
Okay,
and then it's going to be in person at night.
I got you.
I have kicking off the Tuesday night, January 9th, overseer Kayshawn Joseph.
Wow,
He did such a fabulous job at the Highway Church. They say I can't. They say I can't come over there and preach no more. I said I know. And they said he did such a great job. I said I had to get him over here to the Center of Hope. So he's going to be with us. He's going to open us up that Tuesday night.
Wow.
7:00. Overseer Kayshawn Joseph. So you don't want to miss that service. All right. It's 10:06. We still need those real talkers to send those gifts and send those seeds. Put done in the comment section as you're doing it. And we appreciate you for your generosity. Bishop, thank you so much again. And to the real talkers, walk with the King tonight and be a blessing.